So the other night I saw you at the Beacon, and it was an hour?
About an hour and 15.
How much time goes into the construction of an hour and 15-minute piece of comedy?
It's like asking God how much time goes into an oak tree. He says, I don't know, I just... I do it every day, I do it all day, I don't know. I plant the tree, it grows, eventually it's an oak tree, who the hell cares? That's all I can do. I don't know.
What would you have done if this dream hadn't been enacted? Where would you have been?
I just wanted to be an opening act for a singer or a band, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I loved the world of it. I suddenly was around these other people who were exactly like me.
Which was what? Obsessed with the same thing, but what do they like?
You're just off. You're out. You're eccentric. Everybody's talking, and you're trying to imitate what you've heard other people say to carry on a conversation, because all the thoughts that are coming into your head are, why is your tie like that?
What were you like in high school? Were you considered a weirdo, an outsider, or
You know what? I don't know why. It never bothered me that I had no normal social experience at all. But I didn't think I was missing anything. And even now, to this day, most of regular life doesn't interest me at all.
No. Like what portion of it?
Everything. What do you think is fun? What's a fun thing for David Remnick? When you want to have fun, what do you do?
I go to the movies. I listen to music.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. No, I'm just kidding.
Now, your parents were both orphans.
Mm-hmm.
Did that create any unusual home life? What was that
I think it
like?
did. There was a very, what I call a benign neglect in my house. I was like a raccoon to my parents. You kind of know it's around, but you don't really know where it is, They had no interest in any of my activities, school, grades, social life, health, safety, or education. Zero. And which was very fun and freeing, and which I also mentioned in the show, that I was never funny around them, ever. And so
Not at the dinner table?
No, I didn't want to make adults laugh. I don't know why, I didn't know how to do it.
How did they view, as you started to progress a little bit in the clubs, did they ever come see you? Mm-hmm. How did they react to it?
They liked it, I don't remember. I was such a nervous wreck myself. It was my gay closet moment was to tell them I'm funny. You don't know this, but I'm funny.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, and I want to live a funny lifestyle out.
You had this incredibly intense, creative period of doing the Seinfeld show. When did you know it was going to work? Right away?
No. I thought in the beginning this might find a little cult audience somewhere in the cities and might survive that way. But I never thought this was a mainstream thing that the general public would like. I thought it was too eccentric.
And it was, in some way, it was the last comedy of that, anywhere approaching that quality, but that had that kind of general audience. That's just never going to happen again. That was the end of that.
That was the end of it, yeah.
Why did it blow up? Just because the profusion of cable television?
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that's unfortunate in any way?
I always think it's possible. It's possible for someone to make another show that could capture the whole country. I think it's possible. Because it just has to be that funny. You have to be just so goddamn funny that they love it. They can't get enough of it.
What was that relationship like once the show started going with Larry David? In other words, who's playing what role? Who's good at what in terms of conceiving the show?
Larry was always great at the general direction that the show should take. Let's have George lose his apartment and move back in with his parents for the whole season.
Right.
I would never think of something like that. That was a Larry. He would think of that, and that was a brilliant idea. And I was very good at, when he and I would talk in the room, I loved to structure the dialogue so that the joke was at the right place and the line that precedes it was the right line. When you do it well, you don't see any of that. You see the skill of a great musician. Mm-hmm. When you're watching a comedian who knows what he's doing, you're just laughing and having fun, and it all seems so easy. It seems easy for the comedian, the audience is having fun, and that's what it takes so long to learn. See, what most of these guys, most of the kids that I started out with, you go up, let's say you go up on stage 5 or 10 times a week, 2 or 3 of those, you're going to do well. Because you're going to have a good crowd, you've kind of got a good rhythm that night, or you're focused that night or whatever. Being a professional comedian, you can't do well 2 out of 10 times and get paid for it. A professional comedian, you do well 10 out of 10. You've got to do well 10 out of 10 in different places at different times in front of different people. That takes years.
But what actually makes a great crowd or a loud
Intelligence.
Crowd? Yeah.
Intelligence. Depending upon the kind of comedy that you do, but if it's wordplay and, the way you're doing things that are a little unusual, hopefully you want people that are open-minded. We
were on a show together once, and you were talking about how you won't play colleges.
I never said that.
Okay, you did.
I never said that.
Well,
what I said was I'm hearing comedians say they don't like playing colleges. That's what I said.
Fair enough.
Because I play colleges all the time. I have no problem with them.
What's going on? In other words, how do you...
We're just being more sensitive to each other. We're an ethical culture. This
is
where we invented this.
This is where it happens.
It all happens right here.
You think something's...
Promoting sympathy seminars right after this one.
Do you think something's lost in this?
I guess so. But, you make another joke. Yeah, you can't do that kind of comedy anymore. Just because it wouldn't make sense. But every one door opens, one door closes, another one opens. There's some other thing you could do. I mean, you would really say the gay episode we did where the writer thought George and I were gay, not that there's anything wrong with it. That was really the beginning of we'll be sensitive to it, and that'll be the joke. So there's always a joke. You just got to find it.
You went to the White House to see President Obama. And for an episode, and you drove in his limousine, no? Which car did you drive in?
We drove in a '63 Corvette.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, the episode opens with you outside of the Oval Office, knocking on the window.
Yeah.
Like a schmagegi.
Yeah. It's the greatest moment of my life.
Was it?
Yes. Who gets to do that? I knew no one is ever going to get, no other comedian in history will get this opportunity that I've got.
Will we see you knocking on the window outside?
Please don't.
Trump. Jerry, thank you very much.
Thank you.